Evening, Mayor and council members. Good, somebody can help me with getting that fired up. Might need to, excuse me, because it's washed out a little bit. It's a real pleasure to be able to come and give a report on the Moscow Volunteer Fire Department. We're also going to speak about our false alarm ordinance briefly. But as we all know and we've seen tonight, the community is served by a lot of wonderful volunteer organizations. But I would like to say that that the Moscow Volunteer Fire Department provides a service to the community like no other. Moscow Volunteer Fire Department really is the largest volunteer fire department in the state of Idaho, and we can continue to have success with volunteerism in our community with this organization in a number of ways. Across the country, volunteerism, especially in the emergency services realm, continues to struggle, partly because of the demands that it takes on the individuals, not only for training, but the number of calls that they are required to respond to in a community. Even Moscow's not a huge community, but it is a very active and sophisticated community. And like I said, the volunteerism in this organization in Moscow continues to succeed in ways that a lot of people envy. Right now, as of in March, we are at a membership level of 95 EMTs and firefighters. Now, some of these people wear both hats, both firefighters and EMTs, but there's 95 people that make up this organization, which is pretty remarkable and enviable. In year 2012, fire and EMS calls were at 1596, just within our city of Moscow and the Moscow Rural Fire Response District area. And within the city, the fire department has responded to 1,026, as you can see. Those numbers include both the rural and the city, but because the membership makes up both organizations. And there's a lot of times I get quizzed amongst my peers around the state, how do we continue to have success? And we'll touch on some of those things. But one thing is that's really successful, it works, is the formula is we keep people motivated, stimulated, and interested, and that's how you keep volunteers. A lot of people don't realize that the Moscow Volunteer Fire Department is a nonprofit organization. It has its own board of directors. The fire chief serves as the president of those board of directors. I actually kind of have three sets of bosses, the administration here, the board of directors, and some rural fire district commissioners. So it makes for an interesting day at times. But the volunteers have a lot of ownership. They own the Fire Station 1 downtown. A lot of people don't realize that. That is a private building. We have some public offices in the basement, or excuse me, on the first floor, where our training officer and an EMS division chief work out of. Station 2 is owned jointly by the city and the volunteers, and Station 3 is owned by the city of Moscow. This is an estimation, but numbers that we review periodically is that, but will save the community up to $3 million in fire suppression tax dollars. Just looking at some of our peer organizations around us is where those figures come from. The city contracts with the volunteers to provide this firefighting services, and it's mainly firefighting services. The EMS side is owned by the volunteers. They own 4 very modern ambulances. In fact, we have one brand new one that has just showed up this last weekend. It's in Vandal colors, and you'll soon see it around town. We're real proud of it, and it's amazing things that the volunteers do. One of the programs that really helps keeps this organization volunteer, and it's been going on for many, many years, since 1948, is our Student Resident Firefighter Program. It's very popular. We, here in April, will start doing some testing and interviewing for next year's crew. And we will replace the people that won't be coming back, either graduation or have decided not to continue in the program. But this is part of our organization that helps keep this department volunteer and actually helps provide us with an amazing response time. We get a response time that's equal, or let's just say it's equal to a career department where people are on duty and paid. And where do we come with those kinds of thoughts and figures. NFPA, which is National Fire Protection Association, has standards on many things. When you're looking at and trying to compare our organization to organizations around the country, NFPA's standard is in a suburban community, which is what I gauged Moscow to be. They would like the standard to be 10 firefighters minimum with responding within 10 minutes of the call for help. Last year's numbers, in 2012, our volunteer fire department response time was 5 minutes and 22 seconds. And so we're doing quite well with the national standard. And I'm very proud of them. And when we have a big events, it's amazing the response that we get. So what does it take to become a volunteer with us? Whether you choose to be an emergency medical technician or a firefighter, just a firefighter, which I shouldn't say just, but or both. This is the basic training hours that it takes to become one or the other, or add them up to become both. And so we've all went through these training requirements, and then we also have continuing education and training requirements that is necessary each year. And so our organization is strategies and tactics to maintain our continuing education and keep everybody sharp. So our training division's doing a very good job, both on the EMS side and the firefighting side. One thing, like I said, a lot of people don't realize that the station downtown is owned by the volunteers. I just wanted to give a little example of how they're maintaining and helping serve the community by maintaining that facility. We have remodeled women's and men's restrooms and shower rooms just this year. This spring finished up. Previously, we replaced the building roof. The buildings have been equipped with fire sprinkler systems for life safety within the building. But this is a critical infrastructure that we have in our community, and fire stations obviously are critical. And it happens more often than you think that a fire station catches on fire. So the volunteers have
thinking it's the cooking, Ed.
A lot of times that's exactly right. You know, you get a call, take off out the door, you forget to turn off the beans, and then you get a second call. Oh, I know that address. We got to get back. So we've also changed out all the heating and ventilation units on the building. What else have we done? Other things we've done is they're in the ambulance bay. We've done some work there, but all the bay doors have been replaced. We've put energy efficient windows in the facility. Those ambulance bays that they're working on right now, those were replaced. We had a drainage issue and it necessitated work. While that project went on, we went ahead and changed out the sidewalk in the front of the building. Didn't need to, but we did it. Excuse me. Also, the building's domestic water piping in the building has all been changed out. So there's been those, and this is a volunteer oriented projects and have been funded that way. There's a little bit of grant money that's been part of the funding process for this, but largely the volunteers out of their own fundraising and saving and managing their money and dollars. Things that are coming up in the future in coordination with the city, we're going to be putting a new electrical generator in the building to provide it because again, this is a critical infrastructure for the community. In times of power outages, we need to have this facility, like if you're in cold weather, we need to maintain the environment in there to keep the ambulances and the fire trucks in service. Also, we plan to put a stairway chairlift in the building, and because we have some former members that come to our social functions and they have challenges going up the stairs, and so we can't afford a elevator, but this is going to work out very well. And then one thing we've tried to do this in the past, put a vehicle exhaust system in there, but that was through grant fundings, and we were unsuccessful at that, but that's still a future project. How do we stay sharp and how do we work together well with others? We have had other exercises with the National Guard Civil Support Team, which is one of the, I think there's about 46 response teams around the United States that are there in case of biological and other national threats, and we did a very large-scale exercise with them. We've done a number of active shooter exercises with our volunteers and also coordinating agencies and mutual aid agencies in the county. And then coming up this April, that some of us might have seen and got a little notoriety of our zombie UFO theme, mass casualty exercise. We wanted to have a theme that was a little less serious than active shooter. But that was where the theme that came up with from the volunteer ranks, and we were staying with it, and we're going to do our exercise and continue our training. That's coming up. Also, part of my report included the false alarm report. It's backed by popular demand. As a refresher, in September 2010, there was a free resolution that came across your desk and was passed by this body. The false alarm penalty is discretionary, and it's reviewed by the fire marshal and myself for the particulars and the issues, nature of the alarm, things like that. Some of the concern that came with numerous false alarms that we had previously been experiencing was through the malicious intent, system malfunctions from lack of maintenance. We needed some teeth in this to be able to get some of these systems fixed up. Sometimes poor supervision within an occupancy. People weren't taking these seriously. These alarms are a serious issue. For one thing, is people lackadaisical attitudes about it. The intent was not to generate revenue. Our false alarm ordinance is probably one of the least fiscally penalty-wise. I mean, it's not very much money we're asking. But the intent was to educate individuals and businesses of the hazardous and numerous alarms. What's the hazard? Well, you don't want fire trucks and police cars driving through town with lights and sirens so often, because it's, from a risk management standpoint, the odds are there's going to be some kind of an accident, and we don't want that. Again, like I said, increased apathy from citizens and students. And a lot of times, some of the biggest fires I've ever been on started out with a little bit of smoke coming out of a power socket and turns into a 14-hour day. So you never know what's until you figure out what's going on, how serious this issue is. So.